I mean, dividends are never promised, but once you declare them, that's an obligation you have, so it's a liability until you pay it. So cash dividends, since not paid yet, you need to calculate net income. Sales minus cost minus depreciation. All I have to do is enter them. Sales is 112,900 minus 74,600 minus 10,100 minus 3,900 times 1 minus 29%. Microsoft OneNote has an inline calculator. Of course, you can do this in Excel as well, but it's simple calculation. It's a lot quicker here. Hence, ending RE is beginning RE, which was 5,100 plus net income minus 0. That's it, done. Always ask your question, what do I need? And the answer to what do I need always comes with definition of things you have to find. I'm trying to figure out the ending retained earnings. Well, how does that move over time? Beginning plus net income minus cash dividends. You're already given the beginning, so all you have to do is figure out net income and cash dividends. You figured out net income, what's the definition? Right there, and just use that, put the inputs, you're done. There is no magic to it. In fact, most of mathematics is writing down the definitions of things you need and following the logical consequences of that. Even very high mathematics goes that way. Sometimes it takes you 200 pages to prove what you need. Have you guys ever heard of a theorem called Fermat's last theorem? Until 1994, it was actually Fermat's last conjecture. A conjecture is a claim that has not been proven yet. Once it's proven, it becomes a theorem. Back in the early 1600s, there was a Belgian priest, Baron Pierre de Fermat. He realized that you guys have heard of the perfect squares, right? You can write three numbers where squares of the two adds up to the third one in integers. 3, 4, 5, for example. 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. He claimed that x to the power n plus y to the power n equals z to the power n has no integer solutions if n is greater than 2. So he basically said, x cubed plus y cubed equals z cubed has no solutions, as long as that solution has to be in integers. Not only he said cubed, he said all of them. He was using an old, I think, as Archimedes' books, Arithmetica. He says, I have a fantastic proof for this, but the margin is too narrow to contain it. So it became a mystery. It took humanity almost 400 years to prove it. The guy who proved it, there's actually a documentary about it. You can find it in old PBS documentaries. There's even a book about it. This professor as a kid, he's seen Fermat's last theorem. He says, it is my dream to become a mathematician and prove that. because it sounds so deceptively simple, right? Anyway, he gets a PhD in mathematics, becomes a professor in Princeton. He does the standard math stuff. He gets tenured. As you know, once you're tenured, they cannot fire you, even if you don't produce anything, unless you do something horrible like dating your students. This guy basically, if you know anything about Princeton, the entire city of Princeton, at least when I saw, there's a main street. On one side is the university, on the other side is a set of bars. That's it. That's Princeton. There isn't much to do in Princeton, so he puts himself in his study, which is attic in his house. For 10 years, he works on this. Not even his colleagues know that he works on this. Finally, he comes up with a proof. He goes to a conference and say, "I'm going to need 2 days." He says, "Why?" Because I have a proof that's 200 pages long. At the end of the second day, he shows it big time. Turns out there was a step that he skipped. Then he spends another year on that with somebody else. Finally, it was proved. But all of that is coming up with, starting with definitions and following logical consequences. Let's do one more problem, and I'll send you guys home. That's similar. Trying to find something more interesting than that. Okay, let's do this because I'm going to highlight something. By the way, I'm going to generate your problems for homework assignments using these quizzes. Each group is going to get 12. If you're a group of 3, I'm going to give you only 9. Basically, per person, you're going to get 3 problems. We know their net income. We know the common stock paid in surplus and retained earnings. Similarly, we know those at the end, what is the amount of net new equity raised? Okay, net new equity, another way, uh, ending uh, capital stock and capital stock is uh, common stock plus paid in surplus. We talked about this. Companies, let's say that you have 100 million shares. Company attaches a nominal value to each share. Let's say it's $1, but that doesn't mean they sold those shares in at $1. Paid in surplus is the difference between the nominal value and the value at which you sold those shares. So net new equity in this case is the change. Common stock at the end was, let me see, 115. At the beginning, it was 88. Paid in surplus at the end was 199, and at the beginning it was 79. The reason I have a lot more numbers over there, I want to figure out if you know what's relevant or not. I could have simply given you just common stock and paid in surplus numbers. You still would have gotten the answer. But if you did not know what's relevant, then you may think, oh, maybe he's thinking about change in retained earnings, something like that. No, for this problem, you know, you have to figure out exactly what's relevant. So just because a number is there doesn't necessarily mean it's relevant. Sometimes I kind of trick you. In fact, I create variations of problems like that. Sometimes I say, calculate me the change in current assets if the tax rate is 75%. In that case, you need to figure out the tax rate is completely irrelevant for the calculation, right? I'm not doing it because I'm diabolical. I am diabolical, but that's not the reason I'm doing it, all right? To figure out who's paying attention to what's relevant. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Remember, let me know who you want to be in the same group with, 3 or 4. I mean, I'm going to have all the 3 groups in 3. If you don't have 4 people, just let me know the people you want to be together with. I'll fill in the rest of the group. By 5 today, after that, I'll make the decisions. See you guys Thursday. And we're going to start chapter 3 on Thursday.